Welcome. Today we're going to do threading of this Yamato Japanese Serger, Industrial Serger. Its a model is Z610, but the principles of threading this very much like any other model or later model of the Yamato family of industrial Sergers, and there are many. But the ones that are 4 or 5 threads, they kind of behave similarly. So the first thing you need to do, if you don't have 2 documents, you need to contact Yamato via the website and ask for your specific model for the instruction and adjusting operating of that model. That's really important. And the next document you'd want to get is the parts list, an illustrated parts list, because this will kind of break down the mechanics and the part numbers. If they ever need parts, they're still available, believe it or not, through some of the supply houses. So the adjusting and illustration guide is really good. As a matter of fact, if your machine doesn't have the threading diagram, it's in this manual. So you might want to definitely grab this manual. Again, you get it through their website, the Yamato website. There's a site there for manuals and parts, and this is the diagram that we'll use to kind of go through this threading process. So first off, start with the spools from left to right to left, and then here right to left for the tensioners. So the first instruction that we have that's not listed in the manual is the thread through this upper bar, which you feed it the thread straight down and through, and then through the back and out the front. So that's typically done with this bar. Through the top, it comes out the bottom, you loop it back, and it comes out the front. I skipped this first hole because I'm going directly under this tensioner, and we'll kind of go through this now. So it's really important that you follow this exactly. And you have to go through, and there are holes. There's actually one hole that's not being used. So it seems like, oh, this is intuitive, but it's not. You have to, because one of the chief reasons that a machine is brought in, an industrial surge like this is brought in for service or for a problem, is when it's discovered it wasn't threaded correctly. And not only is it not threaded correctly, the gentleman mentioned that there are times when things are looped. You'll go through from here to here, but it'll have made its way underneath this bar and then over the top, and that'll cause extra tension, it'll cause a misstitch. So it's absolutely important that when you do thread this thing, that you thread it without looping it around anything. And it's so easy to loop it around something, particularly when you're in the upper and lower loopers. I just did it last week. Stitch was crazy. I went in and sure enough, I think I even had a little diagram of what had happened. Yeah. So instead of coming through the back and going straight across out that hole through the back of the looper, it had done a loop around, up and around, and that was just enough to cause enough tension to make the stitch go crazy. So it's got to be no loops, no extra loops, and through every hole that's on the schematic. So let's kind of work through it. So we're going to go through here. We'll go through the tensioner here, through this hole between the silver plates. There are 2 silver plates, and you've got to get between them, make sure you're not. And when I was doing this, surprisingly, it wasn't through the silver. It was kind of between the white and the silver. So you want to make sure that it's going where it should go. And then we're gonna, let's see here. Okay. Then we're making it through this hole. And I believe this is for, let's see, this yellow is for the lower looper. So we're gonna make it through here. And the next step is very simple. You're just gonna follow. Here it goes down here, straight away, and then on these, let's see, gotta grab this here. I use tweezers. Let me just see. Hold on. Here we go. I use these tweezers. And another tip to do is cut that thread fresh. You know, even when you make it through past a couple of holes here, cut that thread when you, let's say when you end up here, cut it again, because any filaments at the end of that thread is going to really make it very difficult. So we've made our way through, and it's just following 1, 2. You kind of come up through this that the left side of that whole left hole, and we're here, and now we're going to make it in through the looper. Now we're going to stop here and just talk about getting those loopers, because it is very difficult. What I do is I take off the stitch plate, and that will cover. You'll be able to see the lower looper real easy. And what you got to do is you got to move it around, and you can almost see it right there. It comes out. See how much it's exposed on that side? You take away the stitch plate, and it's really exposed. So that looper is not too bad. The difficult one is this, what I believe is probably the upper looper. Yeah, the upper looper. And to get this thread to come on the back side out through the front, and that's a difficult spot right there. So I'm usually on a low stool, almost beneath, my eye level is beneath this machine, looking up, and then I got these glasses that I picked up on Amazon with little flashlights on the sides. Let me just turn that on. And this is at 2.5 power, and that really helps. But again, you're maneuvering. Here it comes. See, there she is right there. But to get the back side of that is a very difficult task. There's one gal online who actually threads it through the front part of where are we? She threads it through. She threads it through this one right here. So she threads it through the front with a needle. She gets it through this side, pulls it through, then ties it here pulls this thread and ties it, and then pulls it back through from back to front. So she goes in front to back and pulls the thread through back to front, and then loops it around, here. So that's a very difficult spot. But when you end up getting your threads from the looper tips, you want to bring them up and beyond, and I just deposit them back here somewhere as loose threads, just straight back. And then we go through the needle. It's the same kind of, following it from up top here, around the tensioner, as it states right here, comes through. There's a couple of points where it goes through here, and then down, and on the left side of this little tensioner here. I mean on the right side, not the left side, on the right side, straight down, then through the eye of the needle. Pretty straightforward on that. You bring the 3 threads back here when you're done. Then put the stitch plate on below those threads. Close this up, and then bring your foot around front, and then you want the needle up to get that foot in place. Yep. And then you want to check to make sure those threads are nice and loose back here above the stitch plate, below the foot. And if everything is right, you're going to get a perfect chain right off the bat. So the carry way is to get the correct schematic. A lot of times this is damaged, or this doesn't even exist. Then you have to fall back to a paper copy. Make sure that paper copy is the right model. But again, go contact your model, get your manual, because this instruction for adjustment is extremely important in terms of some of the things to do. And then my other videos, I had done a video on oil issues. You should see an oil squirt up through here, through the bottom of that viewing button, and making sure that there is. If not, you need to stop and resolve that issue with the filter cleaning or an oil valve flow adjustment. But all pretty straightforward. Now I get a video on changing the blades, the upper knife and the lower cutting knife, changing those. So just check out the videos for that. But other than that, this is very useful in terms of the width of the stitch. And I don't use my wife doesn't use the safety stitch, but if you did, you would have a second needle here, and you would then use this tensioner for the second needle and bring and threading it through on the left side for the safety stitch here, and catching another looper that right now doesn't have thread through because we don't do that safety stitch. So I think that's about it for threading. It's not rocket science, but I'll tell you, it is difficult, and it's frustration for a lot of people who work these sergers, because when it breaks, it's also downtime, and kind of gets you frustrated. But here's a needle positioning straight at you with the groove coming at you, not to the right, not to the left. Another thing in here, see, in this book here, we have the diagram that I've colored in to make it easier. Each model has its own unique way of going through those various points. Let's see. And then when you change thread, most of you sewers know to tie a knot, but you can't tie a regular knot. You gotta do a surgical knot, or what I do is I loop the right thread around a couple of times and then do the knot, and that's always makes it nice and tight. And then you kind of work it through the mechanism, that knot, work it through, so you don't have to re-thread it, particularly through the loopers. You just kind of pull on, give it some less tension on this side, pull it through gently on the right side as you make its way through all these points, and you kind of visualize that knot going through as best you can. Other than that, these machines are very reliable. The mechanisms are, I would say, built for durability. They're all heavy metal parts inside. These things were designed to run in sewing machine factories where they did curtains and blankets and all sorts of clothing, designed to work 7 days a week, 2 shifts each day, without a lot of maintenance required. And they're very fast, unlike machines that you buy today from a sewing machine shop or a fabric store that has a sewing area. These are a lot faster and a lot more durable. So, and they're inexpensive to buy. You can buy them for a few $100s. The table, most times come with it for maybe a few $100 more, so $400 to $600 for the whole setup, and you get yourself a very durable machine. Leave a comment, like if you found this useful. If you need me to clarify something or work through, I really didn't want to work through an individual. I didn't have a setup to hold the camera to physically go on there, but you're kind of looking up when you do these loopers. So I hope you resurrect it, or perhaps resurrect this instrument that hasn't been used, or go out and buy one that will fit your needs if you want something that's more high efficiency. Anyway, have a good day.